Hey Richie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Forgive me if this is going to be 15 minutes of me gushing about how much I love the show because this is like one of three shows that is a like true appointment television in my house.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm a big I was a theater nerd, so I the character work on the show is ridiculous.
Oh, thanks so
Yeah,
much.
of
That's so
course.
nice to hear.
Sure. Um you have a really funny line that I wasn't going to ask you about, but I kind of do want to ask you about now is you say the things I would do for a Ritz cracker. Like how far do you think Pete would actually go for a Ritz cracker?
Well, I think Pete's version of far would not be far for other people, right? Like this guy is so naive and innocent that he would probably consider like keying a car the worst
Oh God.
possible thing a human could do. So yeah, I think there are levels of bad, and on Pete's scale, it's probably not that bad.
Okay. Very, very small, short level, I guess we'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay. I did want to ask about nice guyness a little bit. There's something I think I can't remember what episode, it might be episode one or two, where you're too terrified of making anybody mad. Something about like getting the base you don't want to hurt any of the basement ghosts' feelings. And I guess I
Right.
wanted to know because the show um the characters are very set. There are very specific set rules in terms of costuming, what you can physically pick up and what you can't. I guess I wanted to know from you, like, I won't say how hard it is to make a nice guy annoying, but I guess how hard it is, how hard is it to sort of toe that line of that niceness and that generosity? Because Pete is a really generous, nice, sweet character.
I think I get so many gifts from the writing staff because they often trust Pete with some emotional moments in the show.
Hmm.
And I think that really helps save him from feeling too mawkish or
Hmm.
sugary sweet and like ultra naive because he
Yeah.
certainly has those moments, most of them played for comedy. But I
Hmm.
think when there are moments in scripts that really ground the character and give him gravitas. That's
Yeah.
what kind of saves it and makes him, I think, in a lot of ways, like the heart of the almost like the moral center of the ghosts.
Hmm.
He's always the one kind of pulling them back to reality.
Hmm.
And I think, so much of it is in the writing, right? And
Hmm.
I think a big reason why I got the job is because I'm able to do both. Like I can play, annoying Pete, and then I can play, those more serious moments. But I think that is kind of what saves him.
Yeah, I think on a couple of fronts, like if everyone would just chill out and listen to like a combination of Pete and Sass, I think Pete and Sass could probably rule the world together in a way,
Totally.
if they joined forces.
Yeah.
But also I feel like that's a really good point because I think that having that centeredness also really gives you permission as a performer to when Pete does feel an extreme emotion that is sort of out of his wheelhouse, it sort of makes it more fun for you to go here and like come back or here and come back. Um,
Totally
which,
right. It's like it's giving dimension to the characters. I think
mhm,
that's one of the things that the Joes, our showrunners, have done really masterfully because there's
mhm,
so many of us, right? A cast of 10 series regulars is a lot. And then we've got
right.
a lot of recurring guest stars too. So there are a lot of people to service. And I think especially in the ramp up of season one, pilots are what pilots are. Pilots are never the best episode of a TV show. They're
Sure.
often the worst
Hmm.
because there's so much to introduce,
It's
and
like here
especially
it
with our
is.
show.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, here's who I am. Like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna basically tell you out loud what my character is so that we can move on and introduce the other people. But the thing they've done so well is give all of these characters dimensions, and we've got this great sort of, method of flashing back to all of the past of these
Hmm.
ghosts and really coloring their perspectives and where they come from. And it is, first of all, it's been such a gift to do this for 3 seasons. So many shows, don't even get more than a season, so to be entering our fourth season is incredible. But
Yeah.
I think like part of that gift and part of what makes the show richer is we learn more and more about these people and they become a lot more three-dimensional.
Hmm.
Um, and we all have our moments where we're still like, ringing the bell that we always ring for this character because, you want to establish that and remain some sort of constant, but we also get so many different kinds of flavors and fun things to play with
Yeah.
that make us, more fully rounded.
It is actually quite remarkable that, and I think this is one of the things I first noticed about the show, because when I first started watching it, I watched like the trailer for the first season, and I was like, okay, what is this show? I will be perfectly honest. I was just like, all right,
Totally.
like, but it made me think of immediately like, where can the show go from being the circumstances of what they are for everything? But I'm so constantly surprised, especially with season three. I think season three might be the strongest season. And it's I'm so impressed with how the writing allows the performers to sort of really expand out. Still very, very grounded in who these people are. Um, and the character work is so strong, but it sort of expands out in such a beautiful way that I think that is very thrilling, especially something that we don't really get on a comedy series, I think.
Totally. I mean, like, I think a great example of that is probably my favorite episode from this past season, if not the series, is the Holes Are Bad episode where we
Mm,
learn about Hetty's death. And that's a perfect example of, I mean, first of all, Rebecca Wasaki is incredible.
mhm.
She's amazing as this character. She's just such a great actress in general. But to see her embody like there's a lot of vulnerability in revealing, that your character committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I think it played so well into the circumstances of the episode itself in terms of like how are we going to save Flower, but it also just reveals an entirely different dimension to that character and a dimension that doesn't betray what she's already established,
Right.
but that just
It builds on it.
colors
Yeah.
colors her in a different way and gives her more dimension and vulnerability. And I think like that episode was so well written. It was a real departure in a lot of ways tonally from other episodes of the show that are more
Hmm.
like Madcap and almost like Clue the movie. There's a lot of
Yeah.
like Clue energy in some of our episodes, which is great, like one of the greatest movies of all time. But then our showrunners aren't afraid to kind of dip their toes into more serious subject matter and subject matter that I think does giant favors to the different characters in the show by giving them dimension.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about that episode specifically. I think that is probably my favorite episode of the whole show. It's just a really beautiful example of strong ensemble work too.
Totally.
Um, and there's something when I rewatched it, there's a lot of there's a lot of moments that if you don't know what's going to happen at the episode, you really appreciate upon a rewatch. Like there are a lot of scenes where Rebecca is in the background of somebody talking, and you can see her going through something.
Processing.
Yeah, it's really beautiful work from everybody. And the thing about that is there's something about the proximity of everybody around the well too. There's something about like yeah, Clue Madcap energy. Maybe that's why I love Ghost so much, as Clue is like my favorite movie ever. So
It's so good.
maybe maybe I'm responding to the distinctness of the the character work there.
Well, yeah, there
Um
is something about like people in a mansion in costume, it has real Clue energy. I
yeah.
love it.
I just saw this is a sidebar, but I just saw like a tour of the Clue Broadway uh show, and I was like, this isn't gonna work on stage. And it was like one of the funnest nights I've had in a really long time.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I haven't seen it.
It's a lot of fun.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I want to ask about Pete and Carol
Yeah.
because my husband is forcing me to ask, is there anything Carol can do to get back on Pete's good side? Um, I'm gonna probably say no,
I
but
I
that's not
yeah,
me.
my first instinct is no. But I think there's always look, they have a long history together, right?
Hmm.
Like, and we haven't seen a ton of that history. We know their marriage was not the ideal marriage,
Right.
and they didn't have great dynamics at home. But
No.
you know, we don't know much about how they met. We haven't seen their early marriage, so like, who knows what sort of stories from their past will influence, you know, current day dynamics in the house in future
Fair.
seasons. Who knows? I think like again, the writers are it's such an interesting world this way because they can kind of like back pocket a lot of these
Hmm.
characters. They can be like, okay, she's on the property. It's like the you know the attic goes Stephanie. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, hey, we can use these people when we need to.
Yeah.
And I think you know I don't doubt that she'll come in handy for a future episode or two.
Caroline Aaron too, man. The thing of the even just um I'm also like a big voice and speech nerd too. So just hearing maybe Pete's stressful, high-pitched climbing versus Caroline Aaron's beautifully husky tones that I love so much. Something about even on that level that clash, which I think is really
Totally,
great, which is really, really
totally.
great.
It's I mean, her voice is incredible. It's so iconic. I was
Yeah.
just rewatching Edward Scissorhands with my wife recently. Oh my gosh, like just like her moments in that and like Miss Maisel, she like
Yeah.
steals scenes in that show with incredible cast members, but like
Yeah.
she comes in like a bat out of hell and she's just incredible in that show. She's amazing. It's been so fun to have her as a part of this show. And it's been honestly like really fun to see her experience of the show as an actress because
Hmm.
in a lot of ways when she came in for season one like so many of us she was like it hadn't even started airing yet so she was kind of like what is this you know it's a CBS sitcom CBS sitcom comes with certain connotations that I
Sure.
think like a lot of which maybe don't apply to
Hmm.
our show is a departure in a lot of ways
Yeah.
from you know traditional CBS stuff but I think so she was kind of unaware of what this was and
Hmm.
was just coming off of Miss Maisel and was kind of like what am I doing here
Hmm.
but now that she understands what the show is and you know is excited about it, it's been really fun to have her on set and get more into this character and get to actually do scenes where we're looking at each other in the eyes
Yeah.
this season. You know, like having her
Hmm.
dead was really fun. I don't know if
Oh
a lot
no.
of people have said that sentence, but
I was like, that is a Ghosts exclusive. Having her dead on the
yeah,
show is
yeah,
really fun. I'm really like the way that this season really ups the ante in terms of how it brings people in, like with her, with um the gentleman that Alberta gets to, you know, hook up with, and then
yeah.
with like
Lamorne Morris
yeah,
character,
oh
yeah,
he's great.
amazing.
And then the cliffhanger of season three with Isaac, and then I'm just so I don't know, there's a real I can't even articulate it. There's I don't know, there's like a real like spreading of the wings going on in season three, which is
Totally. I
really
mean, like
cool.
the showrunners took some big swings this
Hmm.
year, and I think so many of them paid off so well. Like you're totally right. Like the introduction of the idea of a poltergeist is really interesting because that
Yeah.
kind of does open up opportunities for us to see other poltergeists.
Hmm.
The idea that Pete can travel now is huge.
That's oh.
You know, that opens up a world of possibilities for the
Hmm.
show the idea that like Sass can enter dreams and he gets to interact with Ukarsh in these
Hmm.
dream scenarios is amazing for them. And you know, there are so many things that they've you know, like there's a recurring joke that Jay's character has in the show of like, oh, I've got to enter this into my ghost notes. Like he's got like a running
Yeah.
kind of tally, and it's we feel the same way as actors. We're like, oh my gosh, a new thing, like a new possibilities and I think it's like one of the reasons the show has life. Like this show can go on for quite a long time. I mean, there's so many different
Yeah.
storylines, flashbacks, new characters to explore, and
Hmm.
it makes it really exciting as an actor on the show because like I adore everybody who are series regulars on the show, but we also get incredible guest stars coming in and
Yeah.
out all the time who get to play, any manner of like fun characters. So we're really excited for more of this in season 4.
Yeah, I can imagine like what happens if Woodstone Manor becomes like a huge viral hit and like I don't know, like a famous person comes to the house. I mean, there's
Yeah,
endless possibilities, like you said, people coming in and out. It's
totally.
and it brings a new energy, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and I have to say the stuff with Pete, I wanted to ask if it's really hard to like be patient to be like, all right, what's my ghost power? What's my ghost power? Like, what 3 seasons you're trying to like wait and be patient for what that is? Was that sort of just like a big relief when you found out? Like, what kind of discussion about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting to find out. There was honestly like there was a bit of a false start in season 2 because we got a table draft for an episode in season 2
Okay.
and Pete had a different ghost power in that table
Oh.
draft. And they ended up totally changing it. They pulled it for whatever reason. It wasn't
Hmm.
quite working with the story after we read it at table, and they ended up kind of the Joes were just kind of like, hey, we're gonna put that in our back pocket. We're gonna revisit it another time. But
Okay.
um so that was really interesting to it was hard because I was excited about that power, but
Yeah.
this power is like incredible. I'm so excited about the opportunities this opens up for the character and really for the world of the show. I mean, to be
Hmm.
able to like talk to Shiki, Sass's, love
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna get to like run errands and do things for the ghosts. I mean, Devin's son is next door. I'll be able
Hmm.
to kind of be a conduit for
Oh yeah.
them when it makes sense. There's so many different things like that that I think are just really exciting possibilities for the show. But yeah, it was hard to wait multiple seasons
Yeah.
because like, it was really the end of season 3 where this reveal is. So it was very hard as an actor. You see other people doing fun things with their power, and you're like, come
Uh,
on, Pete's got to have something here.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's very you have to wait in a very Pete fashion to find out what your power is. You'd be like, all right,
totally.
it'll come
Yep,
when it
yep.
comes. Yep.
Just be patient.
Just
Yep.
be patient. And I'm sorry, Pete's ghost power is sorry, Isaac, you 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 compare them. Not very, very different.
Yeah,
Um
totally.
I guess one last question before I let you go.
Yeah,
One of my favorite things every season is a possession episode. Season 3, we didn't get one, obviously, because the season was a lot shorter.
yeah.
I guess um, of the people that are living in the house, Jay and Sam, we've already seen each of them get possessed with a very extreme personality. I guess to broaden it a little bit, I guess who in the world do you think should be possessed by Pete in order for them to be a little bit more nice?
Such a good question. Um, well, in our dream world,
Hmm.
Mark Hamill is a fan of the show,
Oh,
and we really want to get him on the show. And there's been
oh my
like
God.
one of the ideas is like, what could he play Sam's dad at some point? So like,
Okay.
if Hamill came and played somebody like Sam's dad, uh, it would be incredibly fun to possess a Jedi.
Yeah. I I feel like you could take like a really big asshole character and let's just bring them down to earth a little bit. That'd be really
Totally,
cool. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, maybe her dad's a monster.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we haven't heard much about him. Maybe
Maybe
he's
that's why
the.
she's so nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much, Richie. I cannot speak highly of the show enough. Anytime anyone asks, because people ask me all the time, they're like, "What should I watch?" The first word out of my mouth was like, "Ghosts." Just watch
oh
Ghosts.
man,
And I
that's so
feel like,
nice, Joey. Thank you
yeah,
so much.
I'm just I maybe it's just because I was a theater nerd that I was just the character work. I keep saying that, but I mean it's incredible. And I've had the fortune of speaking to a lot of the other residents of Woodstone Manor,
Yeah.
and they're all so lovely, and I'm always so thrilled to speak to them. So,
Well,
um,
look, I mean, like honestly, it's hard work making this show. It's hard work making any show. It's a lot of hours. We shoot in
Hmm.
Montreal away from family. So
Yeah.
to hear people genuinely enjoying it, it does mean a tremendous amount. It really
Yeah.
does. Cause like we're putting a lot of heart and energy into this thing. And it's really nice to hear when people are enjoying the work. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. I really
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
it.
Well, have a good rest of your day. Good luck to you
You
guys this
too.
season. You guys need nominated for everything. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. Thank you. Yeah, just thank you so much.
Thanks, Joey.
All right.
Nice to meet you. Take
You
care.
too. You too. Bye-bye.